Welcome back my YouTube channel Coin in the XA Vault. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? What if a simple-looking coin from 1987, a Washington quarter, could actually be worth more than houses, more than luxury cars, more than anything you ever imagined? Today we are diving deep into a coin that looks completely ordinary at first glance, but collectors around the world whisper about it like a hidden legend. The 1987 Washington quarter, a coin that some reports and rare auction claims suggest could reach an unbelievable value of $122 million under the rarest conditions. Yes, you heard that right. $122 million for something most people would barely glance at in their pocket change. And before you think this is just another boring coin story, stay with me till the end, because what you're about to hear could completely change the way you look at every quarter you've ever touched. And I'll also tease something even more shocking coming next in this series that you absolutely don't want to miss. But first, let's slow down and understand why this coin even has such a mythical reputation. The Washington Quarter series began decades ago, honoring George Washington, and by 1987 the U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins with precision, consistency, and modern machinery. So in theory, nothing should be rare, nothing should stand out. But here's where the mystery begins, because in the world of coin collecting, rarity is not always about age. It is about mistakes, about oddities, about tiny details that slip through quality control. And the 1987 Washington quarter is rumored to have some of the most unusual minting anomalies ever discussed in collector circles, including double die, obverse errors, off-metal strikes, experimental planchet usage, and ultra-low population mint state survivors that were never meant to exist in circulation. Now imagine this, a coin struck in Philadelphia, marked with the P mint mark, going through high-speed production, but somewhere in that process a rare error happens. Maybe the die was misaligned, maybe the metal composition was off, maybe a test strike accidentally entered circulation, and suddenly you don't just have a quarter, you have a one-of-a-kind piece of history. And that is where collectors start losing their minds, because rarity plus condition plus mystery equals astronomical value in the numismatic world. Early auction whispers and speculative listings have placed extreme condition versions or hypothetical perfect error specimens of this coin in the range of staggering multi-million to even headline-grabbing $122 million. And while many experts debate the legitimacy of such valuations, what matters is the hype, the story, and the possibility that somewhere, hidden in old jars, coin rolls, or forgotten piggy banks, one of these rare specimens could exist untouched. Think about it. How many times have you dumped change into a vending machine without looking? How many quarters have you handed over in a store without a second thought? And what if just one of them was this coin? That thought alone is enough to make collectors check every single quarter twice. And that is exactly why this coin has become a viral legend in coin hunting communities. But there is more, because the 1987 quarter also gains attention due to its place in modern mint history. It is not ancient, it is not silver, it is not obviously rare, which makes it even more dangerous in a way, because people overlook it completely, and in numismatics the most dangerous coins are the ones that look too normal. Experts often say that modern rarity is the hardest to detect because you need microscopes, grading services, and professional authentication to even begin to understand what you are holding. And that means the average person could literally be sitting on a fortune without knowing it. Now picture a collector opening a sealed mint set, carefully inspecting each coin under bright light, suddenly noticing a strange doubling in the lettering or an unusual shine that doesn't match standard copper-nickel composition. Their heartbeat rising, their hands shaking because they know they might be looking at something that could rewrite their financial life forever. And this is where the excitement explodes, because stories from the coin world often begin like this: a random find, a dismissed coin, and then suddenly a certified grading result that shocks everyone, turning something worth 25 cents into life-changing wealth. The 1987 Washington quarter sits exactly in that dangerous category of what if, and that is why collectors never stop chasing it, never stop analyzing it, never stop searching auction archives and mint error databases, because the dream of finding that one perfect specimen is too powerful to ignore. And while many skeptics argue that the $122 million figure is exaggerated or theoretical, In a world of rare collectibles, perception often drives value just as much as physical reality, especially when a coin becomes a legend on the internet and in collector forums, spreading faster than verified data can catch up. Now here's where it gets even more intense. Imagine a scenario where a flawless mint state 1987p quarter with a dramatic error surfaces in a private auction. Bidding wars erupt. Collectors from across the globe compete, each trying to outbid the other, the price climbing higher and higher until it reaches numbers that sound completely unreal. And suddenly history is made not because of the coin itself, but because of what people believe it is worth. That is the power of numismatics, the power of rarity, the power of story. And if you're still watching, here is the part that should really make you think. Because while this coin is shocking, it is only the beginning of what we are about to explore in this series. And the next coin I'm going to show you is even more mysterious, even more controversial, and according to collectors, even harder to find in real circulation. And you will not believe what people claim it could be worth, so whatever you do, don't skip ahead because most people would miss it without even realizing what they lost. And if you think this 1987p Washington quarter story is unbelievable, just wait, because what comes next might completely change your understanding of pocket change forever. Next, 1977 Washington quarter worth. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? And what if I told you that a simple-looking 1977 Washington quarter, the kind you might have already spent without a second thought, could be linked to a hidden fortune that collectors describe in almost unbelievable terms? Today, we're diving into a coin that looks completely ordinary on the surface, but behind its dull silver-gray appearance lies a story filled with mystery, error speculation, and auction claims that push it into the realm of legend. With rare high-grade and error versions of the 1977p Washington quarter being talked about in collector circles and an astonishing speculative valuation of up to $134 million. Yes, $134 million for a single quarter that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up from the ground. And before you dismiss this as just another coin story, stay with me until the end because what you are about to hear could completely change the way you look at every coin from the 1970s. And I'll also hint at an even more unbelievable coin coming next that makes this one look almost normal by comparison. Now let's step back into history. The year 1977, a time when the United States Mint was operating at full industrial speed, producing billions of coins to support a rapidly growing economy. And the Washington quarter was already a familiar sight in every pocket, vending machine, and cash register across America, meaning in theory there should be nothing rare about it all. But in numismatics, rarity is never about how many were made. It is about how many survived in perfect or error condition. And that is where the 1977 Washington quarter becomes fascinating. This coin was struck primarily at the Philadelphia Mint, carrying no mint mark in many cases, and the Denver Mint for mark versions. But what makes collectors obsess over certain specimens are the subtle and extremely rare anomalies that can occur during high-speed production. Things like double die obverse strikes where the lettering appears slightly duplicated under magnification, off-center strikes where the design shifts dramatically from its intended position, wrong planchet errors where a quarter might accidentally be struck on metal intended for another denomination, or even ultra-brilliant deep cameo proof, like finishes that should not exist in circulation strikes at all. Imagine a coin press running thousands of strikes per hour, dies heating up, pressure fluctuating slightly, metal blanks moving through automatically, and just one tiny malfunction creates a coin that should have been rejected, but somehow escapes inspection, enters circulation, and disappears into everyday life for decades, quietly waiting to be rediscovered. That is where the thrill begins, because collectors know that modern era coins like this are dangerous in the best possible way. They are common, but hiding extreme rarity inside microscopic details that only experts can confirm, and that means anyone could unknowingly possess one. Now think about this for a moment. How many times have you received change at a grocery store, a gas station, or a vending machine, and never even looked at the year stamped on a quarter? That is exactly how coins like the 1977 Washington quarter slip through history unnoticed. And yet in collector markets, the rarest examples can trigger bidding wars that escalate into life-changing numbers. The reason the valuation claims reach such extreme figures in stories and speculative listings is not because every 1977 quarter is valuable, but because an absolutely perfect error specimen, graded at the highest possible mint state with unique anomalies, could theoretically become a once-in-human-history discovery, something so rare that collectors would compete globally just to own it. And in that kind of environment, imagination and demand can push numbers into the hundreds of millions in. Viral narratives. There are also stories from coin roll hunters who claim to have found unusually sharp strikes from this year. Coins with mirror-like surfaces, unusually strong luster, or die cracks that form dramatic patterns across Washington's profile, each one fueling the belief that somewhere out there, a truly unique 1977 quarter is still waiting to be discovered. And this is what makes this coin so exciting. It is not just metal. It is a mystery that still hasn't been fully solved, a puzzle sitting inside circulation, quietly ignored by millions of people every single day. Experts often say that the 1970s-era coins are entering a critical phase where high-grade survivors are becoming harder to find, especially ones that were never touched, never cleaned, never damaged, because time itself becomes the enemy of perfection. And perfection is what drives extreme value in the numismatic world. So when collectors talk about a 1977 Washington quarter potentially reaching record-breaking valuations, they are really talking about one perfect storm scenario, a flawless coin, a dramatic error, and a global auction frenzy all happening at the same time. And while that might sound extreme, history has shown us again and again that impossible discoveries do happen in coin collecting. And now here's where things get even more intense, because the next coin in this series takes everything you think you know about Washington quarters and pushes it even further into the unbelievable. A coin so mysterious and so aggressively discussed in collector circles that even seasoned experts debate its true potential. And once you hear about it, you will understand why people never stop checking their change. Next 1965 Washington quarter worth. Think about this for a second. What if a coin you've ignored your entire life, something you might have spent on a bus ride, a snack, or tossed into a drawer without a second thought, was actually connected to one of the most mysterious and controversial valuation stories in modern coin collecting, the 1965 Washington quarter? A coin that looks ordinary at first glance, but has been surrounded by rumors of extreme rarity, experimental minting theories, and collector debates that stretch the imagination to its limits, with some viral auction claims and speculative narratives suggesting a staggering valuation reaching as high as $142 million for the rarest possible error or transitional specimens. And before you assume that sounds impossible, stay with me, because the truth behind the 1965 quarter is far more fascinating than the number itself. And what I'm about to reveal could completely change how you look at every single silver-looking quarter you've ever handled. And also keep watching, because the next coin in this series will push the mystery even further into the unknown. Now let's step into the history. 1965 was a turning point year for U.S. coinage, because this was right after the United States removed silver from circulating quarters, transitioning from 90% silver composition to the copper-nickel clad structure, meaning the 1965 Washington quarter sits at one of the most important crossroads in American mint history. And that alone makes it a target of obsession for collectors, because transitional years always create confusion, mistakes, and rare anomalies that can survive unnoticed for decades. In theory, millions upon millions of 1965 quarters were minted, making them extremely common in circulation, but in practice, what makes collectors excited are the rare error possibilities and transitional strikes that may have slipped through quality control during this chaotic minting shift, including experimental silver planchet usage, off-metal strikes, and early die production errors that could potentially create coins unlike anything officially documented. Imagine the U.S. Mint rapidly adjusting production systems, switching metal compositions, recalibrating machinery, and rushing to meet massive demand for coinage, all while trying to maintain precision. That kind of environment is exactly where rare mistakes are born, and numismatists believe that if even one extraordinary error coin survived from that transition period, its value could become astronomical due to extreme rarity and historical significance. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because unlike older silver quarters that have intrinsic metal value, the 1965 Washington quarter has no silver content in standard form, which actually makes any deviation from the standard composition even more dramatic, because an error involving silver or experimental alloy would instantly turn it into a what should not exist coin. And in the world of collecting, coins that should not exist are the ones that create the biggest excitement. Over the years, collectors and coin hunters have reported finding unusual 1965 quarters with odd weight differences, strange coloration, or exceptionally sharp strikes that don't match normal circulation pieces. And while most of these are later explained as post-mint damage or environmental toning, the idea that even one true mint error could exist keeps the legend alive. This is why the 1965 Washington quarter has become part of viral coin lore, because it sits in that perfect storm of being modern enough to be common, yet historically important enough to be mysterious, and that combination fuels endless speculation. Some speculative valuations floating around online push extreme figures like $142 million, not because there is a confirmed auction record at that level, but because collectors love imagining what a perfect storm coin would look like: a flawless mint state, a dramatic and verified mint error, and absolute uniqueness in existence, all combined into one artifact that no one else on Earth could ever own. That idea alone is enough to make people go back through jars of old coins, family collections, and forgotten drawers, because the possibility, however small, is what drives the hunt. And this is what makes coin collecting so powerful. It's not just about money. It's about the thrill of discovery, the chance that something ordinary is actually extraordinary waiting to be noticed. The 1965 Washington quarter stands as a symbol of that belief, a reminder that even in a modern world of mass production, mistakes can still happen, and sometimes those mistakes become history's most valuable surprises. So if you ever come across a 1965 quarter, don't just dismiss it as pocket change. Take a second look, because in the world of rare coins, the difference between ordinary and priceless can be hidden in the smallest detail. And now, as we move forward in this series, the next coin we're about to uncover takes this mystery even deeper, a coin that collectors describe as even more elusive, even more controversial, and possibly even more unbelievable than anything we've discussed so far.